What up, and welcome to the Roundtable. I am your host, Brad Wakai, alongside my co-host, Tyson Gentry. What's going on today, brother?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm glad I got the haircut for the camera here. It was getting a little brutal. Something you don't have to worry about much anymore. I
No,
understand.
no, but now my facial, so I'm letting the facial hair go a little bit. So
Looks
I feel
good.
like I need to keep it tame. So I need to do some grooming myself so I can
Oh,
feel that
yeah,
again.
yeah. Well, somebody send us tips because I'm not the guy to ask. I just let mine go, and then when it's time, it's time.
Well, yeah. So if you got some tips, hit us up. Hit us up. We need all the help we can get here.
We're
But
hurting out here, basically, is what he's trying to say.
well, Tyson, I'm surprised you had time to get all groomed up for this podcast here. You had a huge weekend of stuff going on. Obviously, your UFC fights, you're glued to. We had our horse races going on. Obviously,
Yeah,
NBA, which we'll talk about, but you had to be glued to the TV.
it was a long, long weekend, man, and I had a lot of other stuff going on, and then it was just like thankfully I had the sports to get my mind off everything. It was like UFC 275 was I mean, a lot of people didn't watch it, but that was one of the best cards from top to bottom. Like starts out with knockout, ends with one of the greatest fights of all time. It was a banger, as they say.
I'm upset I missed it. I was out and about. Had a birthday party I went to, and then watched the Rangers game out at a bar. That was a heartbreaker for all the New York fans. So wasn't able to tune in. Unfortunately, it sounds like I missed a gym.
Oh, it was so good. I was telling you before before the podcast started to go back and rewatch the Yuri Glover title fight. It was like I don't like go. I'll go back and rewatch them because I'm weird and I like seeing things a couple times, especially if I'm gonna go bet them. But like when you watch a fight that you already know somebody won, it can be pretty brutal. This was I'm gonna rewatch this thing like 5 times. There was like I told you no less than probably 8 times during the fight. I thought somebody had lost. It was over. It was like the call an ambulance, but not for me. That meme,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
was
Of
that was
course.
this entire fight, and from top to bottom, dude. I mean, keep the name Jake Matthews in your head. Everybody out there betting UFC stuff. This dude came out. He didn't miss for like 3 minutes to end this thing. Wiley just put you on J Chick. I mean, she retired. Great career. It was awesome, but like that was that was brutal.
And you
Valentina,
had that too. You had Wiley, you had Yuri.
yeah, we were fortunate again this weekend, and I had Valentina too. But that fight
Yeah.
was, and that was what made the card so special. It was people getting just absolute top of the craft. But then you had, for my money, the best pound for pound fighter in the UFC, at least the most dominant champion, and Valentina Shevchenko, and it was she was Taylor Santos, man, she's tough and she's young, and it was back and forth. Valentina ends up barely eking out a decision because they like ended up butting heads at one point when they both were attacking, trying to strike basically, and she ended up breaking her orbital bone, and
Mm.
Valentina was able to get a decision. But it was like champion being pushed, people getting knocked out left and right, and it was culminated in one of the best fights. I can't talk about it anymore, man. I'm like geeked.
I know. I can hear that. I can hear that. So rewatch it. I guess if you're a big UFC fan and missed it like me, I might have to go and take a look at these fights that Tyson's talking about since I wasn't able to watch. But we got more UFC this weekend, so Tyson will be giving out picks. But um, today it's going to mainly be NBA Finals talk again. I mean, that's pretty much the biggest thing in the world of sports right now. We'll have some hockey stuff I'll give out later during Money Making Time, as well as early U.S. Open preview for golf, the third major of the year. And Tyson, I'll be just going through that a little bit. And we'll kind of tell you our betting strategies for how we take it and attack golf. So that's later in the show in Money Making Time. But
And he's
right
being
now,
humble. What was it last week? I mean, you were what, 5 for your last 7 outright winners or something? Then what'd you hit out of the top 20 this week?
yeah, I'm cold now, Tyson, because 2 tournaments in a row I haven't picked an outright, unfortunately. So I'm starting to cool down a bit, it seems. But um, I
He's being
had
humble.
six. Yeah, exactly. I had six top 20 bets, and 5 of them hit. So that's not too bad, not too shabby for me. So hoping to roll this over with you guys to the U.S. Open. Let's get another outright winner because I feel like I'm cold now, And, we got to get somebody back on that winner's circle. But
You just got to see one go in, man.
got to see one go
get
in.
the putter back rolling. Come on.
Yep, that's what we need. So we'll do that later in Money Making Time. But right now, it's the biggest thing going on right now. Warriors take a 3-2 lead in the NBA Finals. They were down 2-1. People were saying this team's done, especially with another game on the road and how bad they looked in Game 3. It started out pretty shaky in Game 4. It looked like they were going to have to crawl their way back. Third quarter, they did their thing. Celtics kind of held on a little bit in Game 3, third quarter. Or I'm sorry, the Game 4, third quarter. And then the fourth quarter was an electric basketball game. Teams going back and forth, big shot after big shot, trading buckets. Warriors showed their championship medal, tied the series up. We went back to Golden State today, and the Chase Center was rocking, absolutely going nuts, especially when it opened up and the Warriors got out to that early lead. Looked like Warriors were in full control. They're up 16, or were they up actually like 12 at halftime, something like that. They're up 16 at one point in the game, 12 at half. The third quarter, when you think the Warriors are going to come out and do what they always do in the third quarter, it was actually the Celtics who flipped the narrative on them, took a lead in the third quarter. Then the Warriors flipped actually the script that the Celtics have been taking, and then they dominated the fourth quarter to take this 3-2 lead. Biggest thing that Tyson and I were talking about when we were texting each other before we came on, we were disappointed in how the Celtics looked. Obviously, the Warriors, they've been here before. They're the champions and a dynastic team for a reason. But we were disappointed in how the Celtics looked, Tyson. So why don't you tell the audience just kind of your thought process as we were watching this game?
Well, during the first half, the game started the way that I expected, kind of. I figured it was going to be like a 10-point first quarter. And then Golden State kind of kept it moving. It was steady through the second quarter. And then Boston hit them hard in the third quarter when a lot of people, I think, thought this one was going to get away. But the reason that I was disappointed in the Celtics is Andrew Wiggins can't be the best player on the court for an entire 12-minute stretch at any point, let alone that could be the first quarter. It could, whatever, from 6 minutes in the first quarter, 6 minutes, second quarter. He dominated the fourth quarter, offense, defense. He was everywhere. And Andrew Wiggins has been, he's not going to win Finals MVP, but he's been as important as Steph. No, he hasn't, but he's been pretty close. Right. I mean, he's the second most valuable player in the series, but the rebound advantage that we were talking about with Boston trying to be able to exploit here at the beginning of the series, it doesn't exist anymore because Andrew Wiggins all of a sudden is just taking everything. Boston's bigs are tired, I think, but they're playing soft. Like for the Eastern Conference, like tough guys that we've been championing on this podcast. We think the East is tougher than the West, at least as a style of play. They're getting rushed, and they look like a team that should have maybe lost out in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like what was it, 18, 19 turnovers today?
They had 16 at one point mid to the third. I don't know exactly what they ended on.
And then Jalen just kept throwing it to the Warriors after that. So it was.
It had to be, it had to be close to 20. I think the word soft was how I was looking at it. I mean, for a team, we said, hey, these are the bullies on the block. Hey, this team's been bullying every team they play, including the Milwaukee Bucks, who have been dominant, and they just push you around, they out physical you. Well, the Celtics took it to the Bucks. The Heat, who everybody says, man, Heat culture, grinded out, they're tough, this and that. Celtics were more physical in that series. And okay, we're going out west, we're playing finesse Golden State, jump shooting team. The past couple games, the Celtics have been out-muscled by the Warriors,
big time,
outworked. They're taking contact at the rim, and they're flying back. Like, they look like they can't finish anything at the rim. It's like, on who? It's Kevon Looney's not even in there the majority of the time. He's their biggest player. Like, you can't finish over Clay and Steph. Like, you're just getting bumped back. That's what I think is most disappointing. And we've been saying it for a while. When they attack, they're a different team, the Celtics. It looked like they were just trying to force the attack today. It's like it's either all or nothing, this team.
The motion is gone from the entire offense now is drive to the middle, draw one, pass to the corner, swing. Hope Al Horford's there ready to shoot, Marcus Smart. And then half the time these dudes are open and they're pump faking, trying to get by somebody so then they can be the one to draw one, kick to the corner, and swing. It's like, this is not an NBA offense. Like Golden State's not running these plays. It's high screen and rolls. It's cutters. It's Draymond setting things up. Uh, Clay finding the corner. It's a whole different level basically on offense right now between these two teams, and that's why I guess if you're Boston, you can feel some sort of hope that maybe we can figure this out. But it sure looks to me like Steve Kerr's got this um, offense figured out. He's got a perfect game plan for him.
18 turnovers officially the Celtics ended with. And that's the thing too. When they have less than 16, we know their record. They have one loss in the playoffs. Anything more than that, they have like 2 wins.
And
So
let's
that's
get
that's
it
their
clear.
number.
16 turnovers isn't like, wow, they're really taking care of the ball. But like that's how good this Boston team is. But when they like for some reason that's their number. Like that's not a great team's turnover number.
5 turnovers for Jaylen Brown, 4 for Marcus Smart, 4 for Jason Tatum. Some would say, and 6 for. No, I'm sorry, 0 for Derek White. I thought it said 6. But those 3 players are arguably your most important. You're kind of your 3 big 3 on offense in a way. They're going to be the ones putting the output. They're going to be the ones getting the majority of the shots, and they're the ones with 13 turnovers out of your 18. That's not good enough. That's not going to get it done in any big game, let alone an NBA Finals on the road against a team who smells blood in the water
And the
and is ready to
timing of
take
the
control of this.
turnovers, right? They weren't normal. Like if you lose, if 8 of those 18 were in the first quarter, they were as the Celtics were either trying to grow the lead at the end of the third quarter or trying to stop a Golden State run at the start of the fourth. It was just an avalanche. Like you can't win that way. And I don't, I don't have anything for Ime Udoka to implement. Like you're getting punked, and that's your thing, right? And how do you react now? Because I said this to you. This is the first time I've seen Boston look like this, like in back-to-back games since like December.
Yeah.
Like this is not like this team closing out the fourth quarter from like pretty much, Christmas on was really, really good. And twice in a row now, the script has been flipped on them. And it doesn't like they don't have an answer because the answer is Jason Tatum in the high post. Well, Andrew Wiggins is playing his ass off. Like you're not getting a good shot off there. Marcus Smart step back 3, you can take that 10 times out of 10. I don't care. It's like where is Grant Williams? Like from from that guy that showed up in the Buck series, or like where's Derek White from Game 1? Peyton Pritchard,
Mm-hmm.
like all these guys are guys we thought were going to be major players in the series, and they disappeared today.
Grant Williams, 1 for 2 from the field, 2 field goal attempts, only shot 1 3-pointer. He needs to be the guy that spaces you out. He was a negative 18 in only 16 minutes. You can't have that off the bench, especially from your 6-man and somebody who's played impactful minutes. Now, some of these are going to be skewed, obviously, in a losing effort. It's obviously going to be more skewed, but you can take some things away from this when you look at somebody who plays 16 minutes, who's supposed to be that energy person, supposed to step in and hit timely shots and be able to space the floor for your stars, Tatum and Brown, to be able to at least have some operating room when they start going downhill. He couldn't do that. Hasn't been able to do that in this series. Derek White 0 for 4, 0 for 3 from 3 assists. That's been subpar. But I do want to say, because we're going to be talking about the Celtics a little bit more. On the Warriors side here, we got to give Andrew Wiggins his flowers. And I know the broadcast is doing that a lot in this game, rightfully
God, those
so. But
those guys stink. By the way, so many
the
times today, Mike Breen was like biggest lead of the night, and it was like, dude, what? They can't all be. At one point, the Warriors go up 8, and he goes biggest lead of the night, and it was like you just
I
said
think that was at the end
16.
of the third quarter, right?
You
Yeah,
just
something
said
like that. Yeah,
16.
but Wiggins, 26 points, 13 rebounds. Second time he's had a double-double back-to-back.
In his whole
He's been
career,
so good.
second time in his
whole career.
career.
And he just happened in the 2 biggest games of his entire career in the NBA Finals. He's been exceptional for them. Not just offensively. Everybody falls in love with the stats on offense. Oh, the big plays. He just had that poster dunk. Defensively, what he's been able to do, slowing down Tatum, slowing down Brown, the ability for him to switch at any point and be disruptive is such a huge asset to what the Warriors have been able to do to flip this series back on their side. We know Jordan Poole's not a great defender, but having Wiggins out there with Poole, You're going to get a little bit more offense with Poole on the court, while also being able to protect that defense a little bit. He's actually been able to make up for the deficiencies on defense that Klay Thompson now has.
Isn't that wild?
He's been such an important piece to them. And now, of course, tonight, with the one game in this series that Stephen Curry doesn't play great, 7 of 22 from the field, 0 of 9 from 3. Who shows up big? This is, you normally think, if I told you Curry's going to go 0 for 9 from 3 and shoot, 7 of 22, have 16 points, like, oh, Celtics stomp him. Wasn't the case, because Andrew Wiggins was elite on both sides of the ball tonight. And Klay Thompson, another big game for him. 5 threes, played his ass off. And now the Warriors are one game away again from hoisting up another Lombardi or another Larry O'Brien trophy. It's nuts.
And I mean, look, Klay looks like he figured it out a little bit. We got a game 6 in the NBA Finals on the road.
Oh, man.
I just saying, if your Klay props are going to be set pretty high, I think, and it might be worth taking a look, because this dude he's figured it out, like they all have. Everybody, even Draymond, for as much hate as he got, like even in Game 4, oh, he only had 2 points. Like, yeah, but he was affecting the game, right? And today he was a lot better, and some of the pocket passes he had didn't lead to baskets, but they led directly to fouls, right? And like I was saying a week ago, it just feels like at the beginning of the game, Golden State turned them up, and then they kind of willingly went back down. It didn't feel like Boston was the one that was like, all right, now we're in the half-court offense, because Boston didn't score then either. And then the third quarter, Boston was able to do their thing, and then the fourth quarter happened, and Golden State just kind of, turned that speed a little bit to where they wanted it, played at their pace, and, like, that's the difference, right? Is like your championship pedigree and championship medal and all that stuff is corny, but it's real, and we're seeing it in real time.
How about Gary Payton II? I mean, we had previously joked, like, man, what's he going to be on offense? We don't know, like, what his elbow is going to be. He has 15 points tonight, was elite on defense, too. We thought he was going to be coming in the series on defense. He hadn't been up to this point. It looked like he was a little overmatched by the guards and the wings of the Celtics. Tonight, I mean, he was fantastic. Really, really good. And then he gave him a bunch of plus on the offense, too. 6 for 8, hit a 3, scoring points, been able to attack the glass. He had 5 rebounds as well. I mean, just a great performance from another role player that the Warriors needed to rise at the opportune time, and he showed out tonight.
And a little bit of that is that it's too easy, because when you're face guarding Stephen Curry from 40 feet and he goes 0 for 9, how many backcuts were open tonight that the Warriors didn't even take advantage of? Like, it was nonstop. They were getting whatever they wanted, and I know we were, we were sitting on Celtics defense as one of the best in the NBA, like way before everybody else got there, and then it ballooned to this thing where they're like the best defense of all time. Like, you let Bill Simmons tell this is the best defensive team of all time, but like they've been, the jig is up is what it feels like. Like, not that they've been exposed, but like Golden State figured it out. And that's, to me, I think the one thing that was kind of pissing me off. I don't like Draymond, but that was what was pissing me off about, like, oh, Draymond sucks. It kind of looks to me like Draymond's probing, and this is going to go longer than you think it is. Like, it was supposed to go 5 at the beginning of the series. You remember that?
Right.
If you pulled either locker room, I guarantee you would get 0 responses. Like, if they were answering honestly, this thing's going 5 games. And they figured it out. In the last 2 games, they kind of been reaping the rewards in late in the games, in the fourth quarter. And Boston looks gassed too, not for nothing.
Oh man, they look really gassed. I mean, and I had a feeling, so it looked like they put everything they had in that third quarter. Hey, we can't let the Warriors do what they've been doing. They come out and they're scorching hot. They hit 35, or they score 35, hit a ton of threes to take the lead and cut into the lead. They're picking up the Warriors 3/4 court, denying them, and I'm like, man, they're down 1 or 2 because Poole hit that 3 at the third quarter. I'm like, that just might have been their Herculean effort, and they're still down. I mean, that might be it tonight. And it turns out it was. They lose by 10. So we got to see what the Celtics are going to do at home. And we'll give a little preview on this, but we know what the Warriors have done. We just laid it out. Tyson thinks that, they kind of figured out as sort of like a puzzle or a Rubik's Cube. The Warriors are starting to fit those pieces together, and they're about to complete this puzzle. Celtics, it looked like they had the answers to the Warriors. Now they're going to have to counter here, but to do that, they're going to need their players Tatum and Brown to step up. I mean, what's going on with the Celtics? What's going on with those two right now? I mean, Jaylen Brown was awful tonight, and I don't care. Oh, okay, 9 rebounds, good. 18 points, all right, pretty solid. But the 5 turnovers, he didn't look good. I mean, 5 of 18 from the field, 0 for 5 from 3. Just getting pushed around, not being able to finish at the rim. I think that was the biggest surprise. And Marcus Smart, man, dude, this guy, and I respect the player he is, and there's a role for Marcus Smart on every single team. I truly believe that. But this dude's been exposed on defense in this series, and all I can hear is, man, defensive player of the year, what the great defender. There hasn't been one time in this series I'm like, who I would want as my number one defensive player in this series right now? Marcus Smart. It's either, for me, Robert Williams, who's been unbelievable, or Andrew Wiggins, who's been great as well. Those two are clearly the best defenders in this series. Yet, since he won this arbitrary award that the media just wanted to give out to somebody, apparently, that we're supposed to look at this guy in a different light. And it's supposed to excuse the mistakes that he makes, the bad passes he always does, the flopping that he does. That Clay goes down and hits a big 3 after a flop. Then he gets a technical foul. And it's like, there goes all that momentum that you guys just started building up. And now this is going to avalanche into another Warriors run and to eventually close this thing out. He's got to be better. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's got to play better in this next game.
And I think as defensive player of the year, you kind of get a pass, like you were saying, a little bit on offense because, like, outside of Giannis, right? If you look back through the award, you can get your Michael Jordans and stuff like that. But it's like what Rudy Gobert gives you on offense is a plus. What Ben Wallace gave you on offense was a plus, right? And so now they're looking at Marcus Smart gets treated like he's Tony Allen. But it's like, no, this dude's supposed to be leading this offense and not being – first of all, I mean, this is an aside, but you can't be defensive player of the year and you're guarding Draymond Green for 20 minutes of the fucking game. Like that was your primary matchup half the time down the court. And I know that matchup was being found, but like pick somebody up. Like you're not – what help are you? Because you're not blocking shots. You're not making steals off the ball. And Draymond's still getting to his spots. So like you can have defensive player of the year, but you got to show that you are at least the best defensive player in your team. And that's what's been frustrating for me. But as far as what's going on with Boston, I texted you this today, and I mean Tatum played better, but I was like, is this dude really the next superstar, or is he Paul George? Because for a couple games there, it kind of felt like it was like, oh no, we were too quick on this guy. And even today, like he's making the right play, and that's a good thing. But like nobody's making shots. And for me, one thing with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, just try to dunk on somebody. Like, don't go to the rim, hoping to get 2 free throws. That's a good plus. Put the ball in the fucking hoop. Like,
because that's the thing. That's what I think when we're talking about these guys, they're not being physical or they're getting pushed around. It's because they're expecting the foul call. It's like, this is the NBA Finals. Like the refs, contrary to what they showed tonight, they want to swallow their whistle for as much as they can, and it's been that way in this series. It's actually been kind of refreshing because at some point you're like, this reminds me of physical basketball of the old school, where you're like, okay, this is great. Like not everything's a little touch foul, and they're flying over the court, and the refs are handing it to them. Like you actually are having to earn these points, and it feels like the Warriors have taken that, adjusted to it, understand that that's how it's going to be played, and they've made their games and adjusted their strategy to reflect that. The Celtics have not, in my opinion. Like they're going in with an expectation they're going to get every single call. When they don't, it's affecting how they play. They're throwing up their hands, they're complaining at everything, and it's taking them out of their rhythm. So I'd be like, you know what, fuck it. Like let's just go to the rim, go hard, let's go dunk on somebody, and if we get to the line, we get to the line. But if not, let's just go score a point. They haven't been able to do that. They need, and again, like you said, you don't know if that's Udoka or you don't know if you can give anything to Udoka. he's got to find a way to get to these guys. And he's telling them, hey, we got to stop talking to the refs. We got to stop talking to the refs. So at some point, though, that has to be reflected on the floor by your players, or you're just not getting to them for whatever reason that is.
It's bad when the guy on the floor at all times that can't create his own shot, and Robert Williams is the only one actively looking to put the ball in the basket when he gets the ball. It's like this hesitancy and stuff. Like, where is this coming from? Where are the guys that were pulling from 30 feet against Brooklyn with no fear?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, what is this? Is it like I thought Boston was going to be? I really thought this team was a little different than what they've shown me through 5 games. And I had Celtics in 6. Mine's cooked. You had Celtics in 7. Are you confident in that still, or are you backing off of it a little bit?
You know what? Oh, it's hard for me not to back off of it.
Right. And that's,
like especially where we're at now, how bad they looked, being down 3-2, and them expecting them to win 2 games in a row and having to do it in hostile Golden State. I will say though, they were down 3-2 against the Bucks, and they beat the Bucks, who were the defending champs. So they do have some mettle and some history in these playoffs where they've shown that they're able to rise to the occasion and do it. I'm not going to – I still think the Celtics win in 7. I think they're going to win on Thursday. They're going to even the series. I think they do it in a dominating fashion, by the way. Like, when have we ever – this series when the Warriors are like, hey, the Warriors can close a big one out tonight. Whenever they're like, woohoo, Warriors have been winning big. It's like, no, they actually get their ass kicked by 50. So I think the Celtics win handily on Thursday. We get a game 7. And I think we might get a game like that Warriors-Cavaliers game when Kyrie hit that game winner. LeBron had that block. I think it's going to be one of those games. Just like insane. These teams are way too evenly matched for this not to have some crazy ending. So I'm sticking with my Celtics in 7 prediction.
Who's hitting the game winner then?
Probably like Grant Williams or something crazy, because that's just how this series has gone.
Al Horford from half court, hook shot.
Robert Williams 3.
Oh, dude, could you imagine?
Oh my God.
Aisha Curry would burn Twitter down.
Oh, I just saw rigged. No, I just witnessed it. So funny. But all right, you're cooked. What are you thinking then? Are you pivoting away from your Celtics? You gonna say Golden State closes this thing out?
I do think Golden State's going to win the series.
Okay.
I don't know how many games. I mean, to me, tonight it looked like Boston had nothing left after that third quarter, and they've been really as any team in recent memory in these playoffs and really just in the season in general. But at a certain point, like, you can't lose by 16 when Steph goes 0 for 9 from 3 and looks like that. It's a genuine issue, and I think Boston wins game 6, but they've been so bad at home, like far below confidence level for me to be like, oh, they're definitely going to go back there.
Oh, they're definitely
take care of business, because they haven't, like, against anybody really. I mean, the Bucks, but that was a weird game in general, anyways.
And they also gave them 2 on the road in the first place.
I think Boston's better, but I think Golden State's going to win the finals.
Well, the nice thing is, though, Tyson, remember that pick I gave out there, that strategy? Pick it in 6 or 7, made money either way. So if you followed us on that, you're making money either way. So we're gonna have game 6 on Thursday or next week or whenever the hell the NBA decides to space this thing out. I mean, it's been crazy. What is it? It's been 3 days space between. I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Also, did you see what did Adam Silver's thing on Draymond? Just quick, did you see when they were all mad?
I didn't see that,
because the fans were chanting like "F you, Draymond," and he was just like, "Yeah, I mean, you'd like the fans to act nicer, but I get it." He was just like, "Yeah, fuck him too. I don't care."
Well, he's in the COVID protocol I saw too now, so he's in health and safety protocol. Well, so they even slapped it on their own commissioner.
As low as of a title it is, he's the best we got. So protect that man.
All right, game 6 on Thursday. Warriors either put up another one, or we're going to go to a game 7 on Father's Day Sunday when the U.S. Open will be finishing as well. And speaking of the U.S. Open, Tyson, During our money making time, we're going to give out a couple here, but let's go into the U.S. Open early preview because I'm going to be having my picks out on Wednesday on our social media pages. So make sure to follow us there. It's going to have a full card. And since it's a U.S. Open, it's going to be a pretty big card for me. I like these big tournaments. You got to always find a way to, if you're going to take a lot of bets, I normally each week try to pick 5 outright golfers. I'll just give out my strategy real quick for how I view golf and golf betting. I pick 5 outright winners a week. What I do is kind of like listen to how people describe the course. Is it a longer course? If that's the case, you're gonna want long drivers. Is it a shorter course and is it smaller greens? In that case, you're gonna want better irons and wedge players. If the greens are big, I actually kind of like better putters because you're gonna have a better chance, to hit a green and have a long birdie putt, and you want to have a tap in par or even be able to sink that long one. So it's just strategy on that front here. So I like to try to find 5 golfers that I like, preferably at different phases of the odds board. So there's a couple different things that the odds makers do. They do your kind of your leaders or your favorites, and they normally group them. Now, normally it's either like a Rory, Justin Thomas, John Rahm, Scheffler. Those have mainly been the low level guys or the big favorites in here. Depending on the tournament, I'll pick one of those guys who I think is going to win the tournament, and the rest I'll kind of go mid tier, so 2,400 up, and then I'll try to squeeze in a long shot. Now I don't like to go all the way up to the 80 to 1. I think that's kind of just like a waste of money. Yeah, maybe you'll hit one, but I don't like doing that just for the hell of it. I'll go up and I'll find somebody around 45 to 50, and that's the longest I'll go for an average golf tournament. So that's kind of my strategy there. Tyson, do you have a different strategy when you're betting golf?
Well, I really do like to go back through and see who has had success at the course they're playing. And like you said, I'll go in and just, especially for these ones, this is at the country club in Brookline, Massachusetts, right? That's where,
yeah.
But I don't know much about this course, right? Outside of most of these, you played on the Tiger Woods game. And you're like, oh yeah,
right.
Bryson's gonna smash this over that tree on 13. He's putting for eagle. Not really the way it ends up working out in real life. But I like going back through and seeing past success. And then kind of depending on the level of the tournament, right? Like on majors, I like to leave guys off my tickets, and my line is normally top 25 previous finish. If you can finish in the top 25 or even the top 30 or 35, there's a bunch of ties. I'm more confident in that than we were talking Sam Burns earlier. He's at plus 3,000 or something, but he's missed 2 of the 3 previous cuts at the US Open. He was 41st last time. He's on fire right now, but that's not, if I lose that one, that's one that I'll be shoot. But I would much rather bet on somebody I think that has shown success on the stage and at the place that they're actually going to be playing.
Yeah, I like that strategy too, and especially looking at stats. I think in golf you can kind of get a little swayed by, oh, here's a big number. I got to hold this one, take a shot on this. Where in reality, you got to think about it. What are your odds of actually hitting it? Because a lot of this gets buried within the odds makers and how they do it, just because their liability they can hide.
They're all huge odds. When you're betting outright winners, if you see Rory McIlroy plus 1,100, and you're like, well, I don't really want to hold that ticket. He's the favorite. But if that's who you think's going to win, if you were going into a basketball game and you were just well, they're going to leave Steph open for 10 threes. He's going to make 5 of them. You have to take the things that you want to take. Don't go bet something because it's oh, I've heard of Colin Morikawa. It's that's not, don't do that. if you think the favorite's going to win, you're still getting plus 1,000, which is better than it gets in any other sport.
Yeah, and the favorite last week, Rory McIlroy, won the RBC. So I mean, the favorites have been winning. John Rahm won in Mexico where he was plus 700. Oh wow, what a great! No, I mean that's a good hit. It's plus 700. I actually held the John Rahm ticket that week. I was pretty proud of there. So I don't care. I mean, hey, I thought Rahm was going to crush that course. Turns out he did, and I cashed the ticket. So that's real quickly. That's our strategy. As Tyson alluded to, I've been fairly hot in golf. I cooled down a little bit recently, so hoping to get us back into the winner's circle here. Just some early look aheads. just and Tyson, I'll just kind of go through some of the golfers here. We previously had discussed it a little bit. So, I'm going to stay away from Rory this week. Just I know that's going to be a name that people are going to talk about. I don't like to bet Rory when he's coming off success. My brother and I always joke he's mentally small, comes up mentally small all the time. I know he
That's
just
a
won
hilarious
a
joke.
big one, RBC, Canadian Open. Good for you, Rory. U.S. Open. I'm not gonna touch him here. I know he's gonna be a hot name at this one. I wouldn't put a ticket on him. And if he does go back to back, that's like Tyson said. Oh, whoops, missed out on that. I'm not going to hold that here. I know he's going to be a hot name. Tyson, I know you like Rory. Is he somebody you're targeting this week?
Kind of. I mean, like, it looks to me, and I agree with you, he's come up small in spots throughout his career, and they've been massive spots, but, like, something's flipped up there. It looks a little bit to me right now. Like, this guy's playing among the best golf that he's played from that Sunday at the Masters through this stretch. Like, this dude has been killing the
He's
golf
been hot.
ball.
I'll
And
give
he's
you
been
that.
killing golf tournaments. He's one I'm super interested in. And again, anytime somebody has shown the ability to hit it as far as Rory does, and kind of the tricks that he has up his sleeve after all this experience that he's had, because like we still treat Rory like he's 25,
Right.
but he's actually he's like 30 years old probably. This dude's been around for a long time, and some of these other guys might not be able to handle the mental stress of that, and he's broken to it before, but at least he's seen it. One guy that I wanted to ask your opinion on,
Sure.
and as I was saying, I like previous winners at these places. In 2013, Matt Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Amateur here,
Yes.
and he has been on fire. This dude he's playing good golf, man.
He's playing good
And
golf.
yeah, I mean, for Matt Fitzpatrick, this dude's been on fire. That's what I
Yes.
mean. That's what I mean.
Absolutely.
And do you think he has any chance? Let's say, can Matt Fitzpatrick finish top 10 this weekend?
He's a guy I would target for top 20. Top 10, I don't get into those markets, me personally. I know some people love them. I only go outright or top 20. I think it's safer, and plus you can double your money. You don't necessarily triple, or unless it's a kind of a long shot, like a true long shot to get a top 20. I stay away from the top 10 because it's too finicky. Like, okay, bogeys on 18 and some guy
Right.
hits a birdie, and then okay, now you went from 8th
You've been in the clubhouse
to
for 4 hours and you drop
11.
six
Yeah.
spot.
And so I stay away from those 20. I'll roll my dice on that. I would look at him for top 20 here. Now, for me, he's one of those guys, kind of like with Sam Burns for you. If he wins it this week, I'll be like, shoot, that sucks.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I kind of fucked up, with the history you just said. Until he wins one, I'm not going to hold a ticket of his. I just don't like his game. I know he's been playing better, and it feels like he's kind of coming into his own on the tour. I just don't think he can piece together 4 consecutive elite rounds, especially at a golf tournament like the U.S. Open that requires you to play exceptionally well for 4 days on probably the hardest course that any of these guys will play on per every single year as the U.S. Open. So Fitzpatrick, I may look at him as top 20. He knows the course, won it in 2013 as a USAM. I don't think he can do it against this field, but top 20 is something I would look at for sure.
Would you rather have Matt Fitzpatrick at plus 2,500 or Joaquin Niemann at plus 37?
I'm definitely Joaquin Niemann. I'm definitely going to be holding a ticket. I love Joaquin Niemann's game. You're going to give me a $13 difference or a $12 difference between Joaquin Niemann, who I legitimately think is going to win multiple majors in his golfing career, or Matt Fitzpatrick, who I just don't know if he can actually piece 4 rounds back to back together. I'd much rather have Niemann. I'm going to be holding a Niemann's future ticket here. I'm not necessarily that I'm confident, like, hey, this guy can for sure win it, because I think you're going to need to be able to drive the ball with distance and put together some pretty good putting as well. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that this week, but for that price at 3,700 plus 3,700, I've got to be holding a Niemann ticket for sure.
What live player do you think finishes highest this weekend?
So I guess that's Dustin Johnson,
Phil,
your boy Taylor Gooch.
Yeah, Taylor Gooch.
Oh, your boy Patrick Reed.
My guy Louie.
What is Tomas Peters now on the live?
I don't know. They're all over there, I think. I'm just under the opinion that everybody switched because that's how the reaction's been.
Right.
And he's like,
It's got to be Dustin Johnson. I think
yeah,
he can smack the ball if he get. He's a good wedge player. I think, especially after the nonsense that Jay Monahan was saying, I think he's going to want to make a point in this one. Like he's made it very clear. And if you haven't seen this, the interview, hey, what are you going to do now that you're kind of done with the PGA Tour? You don't have to be golf every week. He's like, I can do whatever the hell I want. I'm going to do this for 12 weeks, and the rest of it, I'm going to do whatever the hell I want. He's pretty adamant he's done with anything besides dicking around on the live tour and then going and trying to win some majors. So I think this may be a spot for Dustin Johnson, especially at plus 4,400, where he tries to stick it to any of the PGA Tour detractors or, Jay Monahan, who's kind of said a lot of heated things with Dustin Johnson in mind.
Yeah. It feels Dan Gilbert-esque in some of his responses to these guys. It's like, dude, just 100%. Breathe. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Everybody else.
Did you watch that interview, by the way, with Jim Nance and Jay Monahan? I mean, it was how ridiculous that Jim Nance. So how big of a trader are these guys?
Yeah, he's just like trying to set him up perfectly. Golf. And I've been in so many arguments, and I get the politics of it, but it's like what am I supposed to be mad about? Guys that are playing on the Corn Ferry Tour now get 50 times the amount of money they were ever going to see. Like, shut up! It's crazy. It's a game. Whatever.
Crazy.
Scotty Scheffler, Brad, is going to be a hot name this week.
Yeah.
He's been fine since winning the Masters. Like, and I say fine, he's been exceptional, really. But like, this is a guy that was winning 37% of his tournaments at Texas, and he had that go into his first part of his career here until the Masters win. Is he at plus 1,200 somebody you're interested in, or do you think he's going to stumble?
I'm interested in him this week. Kind of started piecing together a little bit of the golf game back. Then, like you said, it's not been like he's been missing cut. He's been horrible since winning the Masters. Just hasn't looked the same. Hasn't been as sharp with his putter. Hasn't been as sharp with his wedges. I definitely look to him here. He's another guy. I mean, I bet on him last week for a top 20 finish. Got that. Never really was in contention, though, after the first day. He's someone I definitely look at, plus 1,300. But going back here, Tyson, and kind of like my thought process and how I explained it, out of like the best odds here, Rory, JT, Rahm, and Scheffler, I'm looking at Rahm at plus 1,300 out of that low group to repeat. He said he didn't like his swing a couple weeks ago when he played, and he finished like tied for 7th or top 5.
Nuts.
And he took the last week off. He's kind of been piecing together a golf game here. He's the most accurate driver on the tour in terms of fairways hit and distance hit when you kind of combine all those advanced stats for driving. That's going to be a huge factor here, especially with the rough. You need to hit fairways. He's definitely someone at plus 1,300 I'm looking at. John Rahm. Scheffler, I think if I'm going to play him, I don't want to hold 2 tickets down there. I may just look at him, even if it's a minus number, to finish top 20.
Yeah, that's not – I don't know. I mean, I think the dude could win it, but it's – people don't understand, like how hard it is to, first of all, win these – you got to think, like, if whatever job you do, if 120 people that were the best in the world at your job showed up, and then you had a 4-day thing of like trying to do it the best, the best player or the best golfer every week isn't going to win the tournament. Guys hit great shots all the time and take bad scores. And especially it's going to happen here. One guy that this is my guy that I'll be holding my ticket on in that top group there. But I'm going to expand it out a little bit, but it's Cam Smith for me.
I was going to ask about that next.
It always is.
Like, I know you love him.
I think he's my favorite player on tour. And one of the things about the U.S. Open is, like I said earlier, you have to be creative. And for my money, Cam is one of the more creative players on tour. And you have to be comfortable hitting uncomfortable putts. And when this dude gets his putter rolling and his wedge game is going the way that he's really had it going most of this year, like we could be talking on Saturday, like, dude, Cam Smith took 30 putts. Like he's unreal a lot of the time. And I think he has as good a shot as anybody of kind of figuring this place out. And I think the way that the greens are rolling right now is going to separate a lot of. There are guys at the top of putting accuracy lists who, are inside 3 feet a lot, and it's going to be really hard to get inside 3 feet this week. It's
Yep.
going to be hard to get inside 8 feet this week, and
Mm,
I think Cam Smith is the best putter in the world when he gets it moving, and he gets it moving when it's time to get it moving, and I think this is going to be one of those times. And he might not win this thing, and if he doesn't, then we're going to be moving him into like Rory McIlroy, Jordan Speed territory, where it's like, dude, this guy just can't close.
right. Especially after what he did in the Masters. And he's had a couple of those where over the weekend, it just kind of seemed to implode a little bit. But I'm intrigued by Cam Smith. I'm going to have to think about that. I'm not holding him on my card right now. Like I said, kind of the start, I haven't finalized it. I'll just give out for sure the names I'm going to be having on this card. I already mentioned Joaquin Niemann at plus 3,700. I've got to have a Zalatoris ticket here. I love him. I love his game. He has yet to win on tour, but he's been so close in so many top fives, and not just majors, but other tournaments where I'm not going to be sitting outside when he wins his first one without a ticket on him, just because I like the kid. I think he's definitely going to win one. So I'll be holding him at plus 2,800 for sure. And I'm going to take a shot at my guy Victor Hovland this week at plus 3,100.
Yeah,
Now, the reason is he crushes the ball with his driver, which you need here. But because the rough is so crazy, I actually think that helps him out around the green, because it's going to be difficult for anybody to chip. And the whole story with Victor Hovland is he is a horrible, horrible chipper. He actually makes up a lot of it with his putter. But I think that's going to be affecting a lot of people this week is the rough not going to be able to be precise with the chipper, which I think evens that out for him. Those are the three guys I for sure have right now: Zalatoris, Hovland, and Neiman. Now, I mentioned I may be leaning Rahm at plus 1,300. I'm not sure if I'm going to be holding him yet, and I'm actually maybe with Tyson and holding a Cam Smith one as well. So, going to finalize for sure on Wednesday, which will be out on our social media along with my top 20 picks. But those are the three guys that I am for sure looking at to have a big week this week.
and last one here on the U.S. Open, winning score is 5 under or better. I'm
Oh
setting that line
man.
right now. What are you looking at that? I can read off the last handful here. I gotta find it. Brooks ripped it up in 2017, 16 under, and then the winning score was 1 over the next year, which was Brooks again. And then it's been Gary Woodland 13 under, DeChambeau 6 under, Rahm 6 under, and some of those 6 unders were incredibly impressive. With the difficulty, it's going to come down to the weather, I think, at this place
100%.
and how the weather holds over the weekend. I didn't pull up the forecast
I
because I
think it's
want
supposed to be hot, East Coast wise. Let me see.
I wanted an off the
Boston.
cuff reaction here, man. This is cheating.
Um, well, I think it's gonna be well, what, over 5.5, so 4 under or worse
We'll
in
take
this
it.
one. It's supposed to be hot this weekend. 74, 87 Friday, 75 Saturday, 69 on Sunday. A little overcast
Just rain
in
on
the
us. Come
Boston
on.
area. So, but I think it's going to be over par, less than -5 or the 5 under. So 4 under, 3 under, 2 under that way. The U.S. Open, listen, they hate it when people go low, and you
Yeah.
saw the reaction as Tyson just read it off. High, really low, high, really low, and then Rahm, you said it was an impressive 6 under. I can picture the USGA just being like, okay, watch this, and
Yeah.
just
Come
doing
on.
some insane thing here, growing the rough out so you have to chop it with a machete or something
And
like
in
that.
2020, didn't Bryson win by like 6? Like he was the only one at under par, I think.
Yeah, something nuts. Yeah, I think you're
Um,
right.
and yeah, if you've been paying attention on social media, they have tuned this thing up to be. I mean, the U.S. If you ask anybody, I mean, most people in the golf world are going to tell you the U.S. Open is the one they would want to win the most. And there's a reason for that. It's because it's the toughest.
Yep.
And I hope that stays true this weekend because it's just more fun when, like,
Oh
if
yeah,
somebody's at +1, like, I don't like looking at a leaderboard and seeing -27 at the top. I'm just like, is this a video game? Like, come on. Like,
dude, I know. And I hate these guys like, God, man, these balls are just rolling off the green. This is no fun to watch. I'm like, what are you talking about?
come
This
to
is
the
how we
public
all
courses
feel
where
when
I
we
live.
play.
Yeah, like, come on. Like, I know you guys tune this up, but you've never had this many rocks in your sand trap. I tell you what.
All right. Well, that's our early U.S. Open look ahead. We'll have our picks. Tyson will have some of his picks out on Wednesday, along with my full card. To close out money making time here, Tyson, NHL Stanley Cup playoff starts Wednesday. Tampa Bay wins 4 games in a row against the New York Rangers. Now they're back in the Stanley Cup final for their 3rd year in a row, looking for a three-peat. They will be facing the Colorado Avalanche, who have been what people say the best team all year. They didn't finish with the best record, but I mean, they've been really, really good, extremely deep, looking to really get the demons off their back and win a big game and a big playoff series. I mean, they kind of progressed through the playoffs doing it this so far, sweeping in the Western Conference Finals against the Edmonton Oilers. So they're going to start the series at home, open minus 162, Tampa Bay plus 134 on the game 1 line. My pick in this one is going to be over 6. And everybody's, well, how can you do that? Vasilevsky's been so locked in. I like to target the early over-unders in these series. One, since the Avalanche are coming off of that long layoff, I think they may be a little rusty, especially for a goalie in Darcy Kemper who has the ability to be pretty leaky. Tampa looks pretty locked in on offense. They're going to be facing a goalie, and Kemper is a lot worse than Shesterkin was for the Rangers. And on the flip side, the Avalanche are going to score goals. Like, they just have dudes who can just flat out score. So I think they're going to get a couple past Vasilevsky. It's not like he's been a stalwart, throughout the entire playoffs. Had really good games, really good series, but I think you're going to be able to score some on him. So I'm going to be looking at over 6 in game 1 in this one.
And who cheers for unders?
I did a lot in the Rangers Lightning series. I'll tell you.
Come on, man. You gotta have some fun with it. At least if you're gonna cheer for unders, then go to the number you think it's gonna be. Go half point lower and bet the over. Have some fun. Come on, you want to see goals go in.
And here's a little angle I'm going to be doing as well. So the outright series betting who's going to win the NHL Stanley Cup. The Colorado Avalanche are minus 180 favorites. The 2-time defending champion Lightning plus 155. I'm going to do a little scummy trick here. I think the Lightning might win game 1. I'm going to take the Lightning plus 155. And then I think I'm going to take the Colorado Avalanche after they lose game 1 at some sort of money. I don't think it's going to be plus money. I think it's going to be lower odds, or at least at some point you can hedge out a little bit here. I think that's my angle right here. But my official pick for sure, over 6 in game 1 of the Stanley Cup finals starting on Wednesday.
Everyone else says don't hedge, but like we like money. So we like money.
You got to find angles that at least ensure some sort of profit. And I mean, that's what we did with, this series. And then game 6 or game 7, we made money on that either way. So
the whole NBA playoffs, we've been holding tickets on, we've had Boston Warriors were 2 of the 4 teams we said we were going to hold tickets on.
Yep.
Here we are.
Absolutely. Here we are. All right. That's going to do it for us today. We appreciate you guys listening as always. Like, subscribe, and share, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Really appreciate the support. Follow us on Instagram at _ the Roundtable Pod, on TikTok at the same at the Roundtable _, and on Twitter at TRT _pod. Like I said, we're going to be putting out a lot more stuff. Wednesday, we're going to have our full golf pick. So if you never bet golf before, I mean, now basketball is getting close to being done. If you're not a big baseball betting fan and you want a quick little turnaround, some future prices are pretty crazy. Start betting golf with us. It's gonna be a good time, especially during the summer.
And it's the most fun to hit. It's the most fun run to be right about, because then it's like I'm a genius. Like, look at all you idiots. Of course he didn't win. Why would he ever win? You should have listened to me. And then you'd be really quiet for like the next like 3 weeks, and then you do it again. Or if you're Brad,
that's how it goes.
Every week.
That's a goal. Let's get back on the winning podium. We appreciate you guys listening as always. Until next time, guys. Peace.